Welcome back to another episode of the Hero's Journey Project. Got lots of fun stuff for you today. Interesting little tidbits. It's going to be great. Without further ado, why don't we go ahead and I'll start sharing my screen so you can see exactly what we're talking about. Perfect. The first thing we have up is Star Spangled Comics number 18. Guardian is again named on the cover. I guess he was removed. He was removed and then put back on. We'll see if that happens more often. This issue actually contains the origin of Star Spangled Kid and Stripesy. I'm not sure if that's noted anywhere, if it's spec worthy, but there you have it. Robot Man also in this issue. Now we move on to Star Spangled Comics number 19. Jim Harper reveals to the new Newsboy Legion that he's actually the Guardian. Turns out it's a dream sequence, so it doesn't really count. Newsboy Legion still have their suspicion. Star Spangled Kid is in this issue as well as Robot Man. Star Spangled Comics number 19 features another Guardian story. Star Spangled Kid story has an appearance by the Needle. Liberty Bell makes an appearance in this comic. She made her first actual appearance in comics a few months prior in Boy Commandos, and this is her first appearance in Star Spangled Comics, and there's another appearance by Robot Man in this issue. So Star Spangled Comics number 20. Now we move on to Submariner Comics. Submariner Comics number 7. There's 2 Submariner stories in this one, as well. The Angel is featured. Now, what I find interesting in this Submariner Comics issue is that there's a reference to 2 characters in one of the panels. Tom and Jerry, Cat and Mouse team. Those guys debuted in their cartoon shorts just at the beginning of 1940. And this is in 1943 that this was published. I just thought it was interesting that it must be. I have to imagine that this panel is referencing those 2 characters. Now we move on to Submariner Comics number 8. Submariner has 2 stories in this issue, and the Angel has 1 story. Submariner clearly just giving that aircraft carrier a dunk on the cover. Nice cover. Then we move on to Submariner Comics number 9. Again, 2 more Submariner stories and an Angel story in this issue. Submariner is taking on the Japanese again, giving him his 2 cents. Now, I thought interesting in one of the stories here is that you'll see, I've noticed that in a lot of the comics, the Japanese characters are depicted with big front teeth, and then if you look on the bottom right panel, Submariner refers to his Japanese captor as a disgruntled beaver. Now, being from Canada, that kind of hits home. I can appreciate a lot of beaver references in our country, along with the beaver featured on our nickel. And then again in that Submariner Comics number 9, we find a cutaway splash page. I thought it was really neat. I always love cutaways. This one's a cutaway of what was called an iron iceberg or the White Nightmare in this issue. And essentially it was just a big white looking chunk of ice that actually held some Japanese machinery and could actually cut up ships and take them out. And it was more used as a weapon than just a floating iceberg. Anyway, so some interesting tidbits here from those comics. I'd say the most, if anyone's looking for relevant tidbits, I'd say Star Spangled Comics number 18 contains the origin of Star Spangled Kid and Stripesy. And maybe the only noteworthy spec tidbit that I came across in that series of comics. Anyway, thanks a lot for tuning in. I appreciate you watching. Again, I'll be back and we'll see what else we can uncover. Take care.